What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome again to Extending Family. My name is Dewan. This is my lovely wife, Jen.
So in our last episode, you might have noticed that we were wearing hoodies. Those are our alma maters for our undergrad college.
Yes, I went to Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan.
I went to St. Mary's College of Notre Dame in Notre Dame, Indiana.
Tell me about your experience at St. Mary's.
I graduated from St. Mary's in 2005, and I really hope one of my sisters from St. Mary's sees this. Angela, and we met freshman year, and we were the only two people of color, we were the only two black people in one of our classes. And our professor made a point to make sure everyone learned everyone else's name. That's what we did the first 2 weeks of class. And anytime you were going to say, I agree with her, because this is an all-women's college, I agree with her, she said, no, you have to say the person's name. It's a point of respect. I really appreciated that. Well, 2 weeks, every time, everyone got our names backward. And
so you were Angela.
I was Angie, she was Jen, and we said, no, it is a point of respect. And we are not all the same. We don't even look alike.
Mind you, they don't look like at all.
At all, okay?
Not even a little bit.
Angie is an ebony goddess, okay? I
also a goddess.
Afro-Latinx, so I am of lighter skin because I'm also Mexican-American. Okay, our hair is different, our outfits, we're just different people. Okay, to be that representative in the classroom, no matter how many times professors said, we have to understand that people of color are not a monolith, that the one person in the classroom is not a representation or a spokesperson or a representative for their culture, please do not every time. Well, Jen?
What does the black culture say?
There were probably 70 Latinas on campus and 40 African-American sisters on campus when I was there at any given time during the 4 years. How do I know this? Because we don't have Greek life in Notre Dame, so we came up with little clubs. Okay, so La Fuerza was the Latin club, and Sisters of Nefertiti was the African-American club. Of course, I was members of both, and there's few people of color, okay? So there's 4,000 people on campus, and there's barely 100 people of color on campus. So we were like, hey, we could definitely be part of each other's clubs and teams and support each other.
Now for me, I went to Michigan State, as I mentioned. We had a much larger campus, and I was not nearly as involved as Jen was in Greek life or otherwise. I was kind of a loner, but my representation showed its face in my English major. There were a lot of times where I was the only African-American student, and when you're reading things like Dickinson or Hemingway, and there are issues that crop up, people want to turn to you, like you said, and say, what do you think? I too am very far from being a representative or anybody who's going to speak for the black community. But in that respect, I do have an overlapping experience with Jen. Now, as for me, my situation was a little different. I had the opportunity to become a part of the Charles Drew Science Enrichment Laboratory, which if you want to learn more, you can click the link in the description. This is a group that was designed for pre-professional minority students. It was probably, and I'm using a rough estimate here, 75% African American, and then maybe 25% Latinx individuals. But in those classes where it was science or math driven, we had a group of individuals who basically were working as a family. We studied together, we had all the same classes, we were able to rely on one another like a small family on this big sprawling campus, and that was really what made a huge difference for me.
And my college, St. Mary's of Notre Dame, we had the opportunity for 2 semesters, your whole year abroad, and I chose to go to Italy.
That's so dope.
Right? I worked my butt off to be able to not only afford the opportunity, but literally afford the opportunity without losing any credits or time. Because again, I graduated in the 4 years, and I spent a whole year abroad.
We don't need to brag about how long it took people to graduate.
Hard flex. Ask him how long it took him to graduate. That's a later conversation. Anyway.
I had fun. Okay, I had fun.
That's right. We all have different experiences, and that's why representation matters. Okay, so I'm in Italy, and I am confusing everybody who meets me because I am passing for Indian from India. I'm passing for Egyptian. I'm passing for, and they are confused because then when I speak, they're like, "Oh, Americana," and I was like, "Is it bad to be an American right now? I will speak in Spanish. Actually, my Spanish isn't that great. Oh no, everyone here is super excited I speak Spanish, so now they're all speaking in Spanish to me, and I'm here to learn Italian. And so now my Italian and my Spanish, they're mixed. Some people start figuring out, they're like, okay, so you're an American. Yes, but your parents, I said, well, I'm African American and Mexican American. And that just blew their minds. And they're like, okay, wait. So your father's a drug dealer? Why would you say that? And that's because
representation matters. The media portrayed a lot of African Americans during that time frame as gangsters and drug dealers. And that's not just the news, that's also movies and television shows. And that's why we're not going to wade into this topic, but that's why the Cosbys mattered at that time. Put a pin.
And that's when I learned that racism exists worldwide, but so differently because the Black experience differed so differently depending on not only the continent, but literally the culture and the country that it happened in. And there was a commercial, and I'll never forget this commercial for Black music. That's what it was all under, okay? So think about when you used to go to the CD store, the CD shop, right? Okay.
What?
Yeah. And you were looking for 112, or you were looking for Enter the Dragon, okay, Drew Hill. And think about all the genres you saw.
R&B, soul, hip hop.
In Italy, it was all Black music.
Which technically, let's be honest, it's just between you and me. Everything's Black music.
Anyway, so I was like, I have a problem with this. This is not correct. And seeing Eminem in Black music, I was like,
I hadn't even considered that.
It bothered me a little bit, and I said, okay, but Black music's not a genre. And then the commercial for Black music, I wish I could find it to prove it. And I kid you not, there's your average Italian on the screen.
Oh, yeah, no.
And he bends over and he comes up and he puts a gold chain around his neck. And then he bends over and he comes up and he puts a fro on his head. He goes down one more time, comes up with a paintbrush.
Oh no.
Black music.
And that's okay.
They don't have the same relationship with blackface that we do as a racist thing, but it was very racist thing, and I'm just pointing at it, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Black music. You like Black music? That's not what I'm trying to say."
How infuriating that must have been.
Yes, especially when I didn't even have the literal words. I was so mind-boggled. I couldn't think of the words I wanted to use, and I was so young. I hadn't had the experience to gain the vocabulary that I needed, but also in a different country, in a different culture, and I was just absolutely...
So many different levels there.
Of anger.
I mean, levels of culture, and how do you translate this from one culture to the next, from a different language to people who don't really understand the Black American experience. And even as we're having this conversation, I'm remembering a conversation that I had with Jen where she was telling me how, and mind you, it's not that I didn't understand colorism, it's just that I didn't understand the lengths of its existence within different cultures. She's telling me that the darker your skin in Mexico, Central America, or South America, the worse you're treated. And I didn't really understand. And she said that there's a saying that if you're marrying someone who is lighter, you're bettering the race. And I completely did not have a frame of reference for that and was wholly unprepared to really understand racism on a global metric.
All the more reason why representation matters. We are not all Denzel in Training Day.
But the beauty of the internet and the beauty of technology and the beauty of, up till COVID, the ability to travel more freely, it was really helpful for us to kind of spread the information that, number one, of course, Black people worldwide, American or otherwise, we're not a monolith, but also that we're not just rappers or basketball players or football players.
Or drug dealers.
Or drug dealers or musicians. We're attorneys. We're doctors.
We're educators.
We're everything. We're in the financial institutions. We are working as entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining us. Again, click the description below to click on the links.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Peace.
Power and love.